This war stops now.
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast. I am your host, Jamie.
I'm back, baby!
Yes. I'm going to start out in a way I haven't before. Now, hear me out. Okay, so I'm going to start out reading the Bible. This is not what this is about. This podcast isn't anything to do with really religion, but I'm really just citing a very old book with regards to the point I'm making. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was waste and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light and the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning one day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. This has always kind of struck me, the way this is written, about the way God said. God spoke the universe into existence. I think it's very important. And he called, he named it. He named things what they were. And they were what they were because he made it so. But still, he spoke truth. And things happened. God said it, and it happened. And the reason I bring this up is because there has been a lot of people speaking up. It's getting louder and louder, and there's been a few of note that I wanted to speak about. Oh, and when I said that religion wasn't really going to be a part of this, that wasn't completely true. I do have a couple examples of a couple of guys saying some things in a context in which it's not really embraced anymore. And that I'm going to talk about that. That does tie in. Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is a UFC fighter. I used to be in the UFC, and they got involved with ESPN, and it all went and just became hard to track. And for me, I just kind of lost interest. But who was in front of me, I would watch it. I would watch UFC and hockey. I got access to hockey. I really don't want to give ESPN my money.
Here's the thing about Bud Light. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have weaseled your way into the world. You are an infection. You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of you. You want to look at the enemy to our world? It's that motherfucker right there.
Strickland said some truth there, didn't he? He didn't try to meet him in the middle. He didn't try to make him his friend first. He spoke truth. Now, there are certain times where we should become... Most of the time, we should make friends first. Sometimes you just can't. You know? You try to make friends with the devil, could drag you down with him. I think many of us could say that we've kind of thought that in our heads when speaking to people. But I don't know why I've got the sniffles. I guess it's dry. I put a dehumidifier up and going finally, and it hasn't made the sniffling better. I don't understand what's going on, but we'll see if that makes it to air. But anyway, what I was saying, a lot of people probably thought that in our head and not actually said it. And of course, you can't do that at work, and they're keeping us all at home. So it's like, there's not, aside from work, there's really not many environments where you could have that discussion, honestly, because we are becoming less and less of social people. See, that's where we're younger people, man. You can get to them, because, man, that's how shit can spread like wildfire. Why do you think this TikTok and these different ideologies are spreading like wildfire? Because they don't have no bounds and like, well, we shouldn't say this here or in this context or this place. kids are just kids. I mean, young people are just young people. They're just, they think they're adults and they're living life like they think an adult should act. Some. I just described probably dumb teenagers like I once was. Do you think that reporter said anything when Trudeau seized the bank accounts of the truckers protesting?
We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone says...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance
No,
to
are
interact with a more diverse...
Let me know. Are you gay?
Can I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking. This is a part of. Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son, then he was like, you had a son, he was gay. You'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak man, dude. You're part of the problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he seized the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic. And the fact that you have no backbone, and has he shut down your country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that, go yourself. Move the on, man.
That doesn't really answer the question, but I did want to ask also things you said about the trans community. You said this past October when they announced the Bud Light sponsorship that you'd go so hard on Bud Light in your next fight, they'll have to accept me or denounce me when they know what, and we'll know what they stand for.
This guy's like, hey, this Canadian's not that Canadian.
Are you still going to use your fight time to kind of speak on that?
Here's the thing about Bud Light. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have weaseled your way into the world. You are an infection. You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of you. And the best thing is the world's not buying it. The world's not buying your bullshit you're peddling. The world is not saying, you know what? You're right. Chicks have dicks. The world's not saying that. The world's saying, no, there are two genders. I don't want my kids being taught about, who they could in school. I don't want my kids being taught about, their sexual preference. Like, dude, this guy is the enemy. You want to look at the enemy to our world? It's that motherfucker right there.
All right. Sean Strickland. All right. Sean Strickland, everybody. Looks like he's getting endorsed as the VP by Alex Jones. So write that down. I think he's a CIA plant myself, but so that was a not very intelligent man speaking truths, and not dogging Strickland. I mean, he's not super articulate. And not saying I'm much better myself. I get to edit the shit out of what I do here. So, there's a lot of stuff that hits the floor. Recently elected president of Argentina, Javier Milei, was a libertarian and said he was going to cut all this shit, and then actually got in there and just immediately started doing it. That was like a month ago. And he's kind of a funny looking guy. But for some reason, they let him speak at the World Economic Forum, where the elites of the world get together and discuss how they're going to rule us. Like a 2030, you're going to own nothing and be happy about it. That's I'm fairly certain that's where that comes from, or thereabouts. The speech is in English, it's being translated, so they got the captions up as well. So let's watch this.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Hoy estoy acá
Today I'm here
para decirles que Occidente
to tell you that the Western world is in danger.
está en peligro porque
And it
aquellos que
is
supuestamente
in
deben
danger
defender
because
los valores
those who
de
are
Occidente
supposed to have to defend the values of the West are co-opted by a vision of the world that inexorably leads to socialism and thereby to poverty.
lamentablemente
Unfortunately,
en las últimas
in
décadas
recent decades,
motivados por algunos deseos
So, let me interject right there. So, if anyone's listening to this, they think, well, no, socialism is a way to cure poverty. The big wigs make sure you're taking from them enough that no one's without. The point is eventually the demands of the lower end demands will increase productivity will decrease as the demand increases from the bottom. And eventually productivity drops down and it's not going to meet the needs of the people no longer producing. That's the point of socialism. Not to bring people up, to bring everyone down.
Free trade capitalism as an economic system is the only instrument we have to end hunger, poverty, and extreme poverty across our planet. The empirical evidence is unquestionable. Therefore, since there is no doubt that free enterprise capitalism is superior in productive terms, the left-wing doxa has attacked capitalism, alleging matters of morality, saying, that's what the detractors claim, that it's unjust. They say that capitalism is evil because it's individualistic and that collectivism is good because it's altruistic.
That is something that should be studied in depth in high school. I would be very, very reluctant to send any child, whether I knew them or not, into the modern public school system to learn about individualism versus collectivism. That is something they should know.
Of course, with the money of others. So they therefore advocate for social justice. But this concept, which in the developed world became fashionable in recent times, in my country has been a concept.
If you have a moral society and you don't have a society that promotes, that's the funny thing. Our society promotes individualism, narcissism, self-centeredness to the extreme, but then collectively we want to be the same. Now, as I say that, that sounds like, well, yeah, but like, there are some people, we've all worked next to the same people, and they just won't do it. You know, they just do just enough to get by, and you know that if they just did just a little bit more, you know the job. You know they could put in a little bit more effort and it would make such a big impact. And they don't do it because they're just doing what they can to get by. That is in us. That is in some of us, I should say. There's no magic pill for it.
In political discourse for over 80 years. The problem is that social justice is not just, and it doesn't contribute either to the general well-being. Quite on the contrary, it's an intrinsically unfair idea because it's violent. It's unjust because the state is financed through tax, and taxes are collected coercively. Or can any one of us say that they voluntarily pay taxes, which means that the state is financed through coercion. And
that's an interesting way to put it. It makes me, think that, like, yeah, people want to project that their government cares about them, and maybe they believe that they really do. But our government is not people. But when our government has a personality, they have like, well, they like, they seem to like these type of people, or they like people from over here, but they don't really so much over. Government shouldn't have an opinion. It's being ran incorrectly by people when the collective unit of government, when it shows emotion and likes and dislikes, it's like Thundercats. You guys, not Thundercats. Voltron? I am shocked that Voltron has not been made into a live action so-and-so by Disney or whatever.
Let's go, Voltron Force! Form feet and legs. Form arms and torso. Now form the head.
Wonderful, right? Can't believe it hasn't been turned into a franchise. Maybe it's basically like the Transformers could actually just, it's like Transformers if they just glued themselves together and made one big Transformer, we'd have Voltron. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe some of those old shows they don't hold up as well as other ones. But anyway, the government should act like a robot. It has no feelings. It just has a purpose. Because it's a machine in which we, as hopefully moral beings, send our commands into it. We put the money into it and like, okay, do these basic services for us. That's should be the point. Shouldn't have feelings.
The tax burden, the higher the coercion, and the lower the freedom. Those who promote social justice, the advocates, start with the idea that the whole economy is a pie that can be shared differently. But that pie is not a given. It's wealth that is generated in what Israel Kirzner, for instance, calls a market discovery process. If the goods or services offered by a business are not wanted, the business will fail unless it adapts to what the market is demanding. If they make a good quality product at an attractive price, they will do well and produce more. So the market is a discovery process in which the capitalists will find the right path as they move forward. But if the state punishes capitalists when they're successful and gets in the way of the discovery process, they will destroy their incentives, and the consequence is that they will produce less, the pie will be smaller, and this will harm society as a whole. Collectivism, by inhibiting these discovery processes and hindering the appropriation of discoveries, ends up binding the hands of entrepreneurs and prevents them from offering better goods and services at a better price. So how come that academia, international organizations, economic theory and politics demonize an economic system that has not only lifted out of extreme poverty 90% of the world's population, but has continued to do this faster and faster, and this is morally superior.
That's really another great point by this new leader, and hopefully we get more like him. There's like elections. This is like the biggest election year ever in world history of the number of elections from major countries. It's huge. Like it's a huge percentage of the world governments could turn in 2024. You have intellectuals. You have college professors and people on boards and economists and people on the internet and people on MSNBC and Fox and saying what the world should look like for someone that is running a business, working all day long. I know a guy who's got a shop, a diesel repair shop. He says he makes less than, I think he said he makes less than like $10 an hour or something like that for how many hours he actually spends there. He's there all the time. I've got a little bit of knowledge on the construction industry. I worked in it a little bit, and I got a lot of family that have been talking about it for my entire life. So when you have like a big job, you have carpenters, they're building the walls, you have electricians, you have plumbers, you have HVAC guys, you'll have flooring eventually. When it's a big job like that, it's going to tend to be a union job, and union jobs are segmented. There's bricklayers, there's roofers, so it's funny that we listen to people who really have no idea how to run a business and let them say how it should be ran and how much money should be made from it and what they should pay their employees and how much taxes they can afford to pay. Think of that, the construction, and imagining the electrician telling the plumber how he needs to plumb the toilet when it has nothing to do with where the wiring is going to run. It's the same thing. I mean, it should be clear that we are allowing people who don't know shit to control our lives. Tell us what to do, how to do it, when and where, how. Well, we sit in front of our screens and wait for direction. And yes, I was like, I mean, technically, I've got 3 screens in front of me right now. I mean, I'm in front of my TV, my phone, my laptop. crazy. Sad. This is going to take
and prevents
forever
them
to
from
edit.
offering better goods and services at
This is
a
a
better
long
price.
video in and
So
of
how
itself.
come
And I'm
that
also getting up to make
academia,
breakfast.
international organizations, economic theory, and politics demonize an economic system that has not only lifted out of extreme poverty 90% of the world's population, but has continued to do this faster and faster. And this is morally superior and just. Thanks to free trade capitalism, it is to be seen that the world is now living its best moment. Never in all of mankind's or humanity's history has there been a time of more prosperity than today. This is true for all. The world of today has more freedom, is rich, is more peaceful and prosperous. And this is particularly true for countries that have more freedom and have economic freedom and respect the property rights.
Every people, all people, want to be able to know. Now, some people don't want to do shit, and we have to accept that as part of the reality we're dealing with, and then we just got to figure out how much kindness we can afford people who aren't willing to do anything for themselves. But people need the order in their life that I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work every day, and I'm going to be safe. My country's going to be safe. My home's going to be safe. That's what people need. All people need that safety. That's the socialism we need. Law and order.
And it should never be forgotten that socialism is always and everywhere an impoverishing phenomenon that has failed in all countries where it's been tried out. It's been a failure economically, socially, culturally, and it also murdered over 100 million human beings. The essential problem in the West today is not just that we need to come to grips with those who, even after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the overwhelming empirical evidence, continue to advocate for impoverishing socialism. But there's also our own leaders, thinkers, and academics who, relying on a misguided theoretical framework, undermine the fundamentals of the system that has given us the greatest expansion of wealth and prosperity in our history. The theoretical framework to which I refer is that of neoclassical economic theory, which designs a set of instruments that unwillingly, or without meaning to, ends up serving the intervention by the state, socialism, and social degradation. The problem with neoclassic...
I hope the people of Mexico hear this man speak, because that could create a revolution that could change the world for the good.
Libertarianism already provides for equality of the sexes. The cornerstone of our creed says that all humans are created equal, that we all have the same unalienable rights granted by the Creator, including life, freedom, and ownership. All that this radical feminism agenda has led to is greater state intervention to hinder the economic process, giving a job.
What he just said there, life, liberty, and ownership. What he just said there, life, liberty, and ownership. Apparently, that was something like that was the first draft of Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness. That's Life, Liberty, and Property. I think is what it originally was, and they changed it to Pursuit of Happiness.
How much you may have in terms of natural resources, or how skilled your population may be, or educated, or how many bars of gold you may have in the central bank. If measures are adopted that hinder the free functioning of markets, free competition, free price systems, if you hinder trade, if you attack private property, the only possible fate is poverty. Therefore,
we need to seek politicians like him who don't speak down to you. We've all seen politicians speak down to their audience. Now, he's not on a campaign event. Maybe he speaks differently then. But it's not he's not saying a bunch of platitudes. He's saying real things.
I would like to leave a message for all business people here and for those who are not here in person but are following from around the world. Do not be intimidated either by the political class or by parasites who live off the state. Do not surrender to a political class that only wants to stay in power and retain its privileges. You are social benefactors. You're heroes. You're the creators of the most extraordinary period of prosperity we've ever seen. Let no one tell you that your ambition is immoral. If you make money, it's because you offer a better product at a better price, thereby contributing to general well-being. Do not surrender to the advance of the state. The state is not the solution. The state is the problem itself. You are the true protagonists of this story. And rest assured that as from today, Argentina is your staunch, unconditional ally. Thank you very much, and long live freedom. Damn it.
Javier Milei, everybody. So, Javier Milei just said some shit. And before him, Sean Strickland said some shit. So we have a UFC fighter and the president of Argentina, right? Saying some shit. Things that need to be said. Now from NBC, speaking to quarterback CJ Stroud.
First NFL season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
First and foremost, I just want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been, with the love that I've got. I've really just been doing it for Houston, man. People back home, I'm blessed enough being in the position I am, and blessed enough to be playing at a high level right now, and we got to just keep it going, but I'm super blessed.
In your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you, what does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being...
So NBC edits out that man giving glory to God. He went on TV as a star quarterback and gave glory to God. A few weeks ago, I remember seeing this.
Playing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer here in the stadium. Your first start since 2021. What worked for you tonight?
First off, I want to say just so thankful to my Creator, Jesus Christ, for giving me the opportunity to play this game and for carrying me through the dark times and getting me back here for this special moment. But we did a great job across the board. Defense was...
And they let that one slip out. I guess they've realized after this one, they probably can't do that again. That's why they edited CJ Stroud out. And these are some men saying some things. A wide range of things that we're not supposed to say. As God showed us, our words have power. They have impact. Say them truthfully. Say them with force. Say them with love, because truth is love. People may not want to hear the truth, but telling them so is loving. Let's see how much I edit this down. I'm at 1 hour, 12 minutes. I have gotten hit up intermittently to tend to the food I'm cooking. But I think that's all I got. And I think we all need to think about having a voice and what that means. It's a big responsibility. Even on the micro, I mean, I can say something I'm not supposed to say to my niece and nephew have immediately repeated me. Your voice is important. Don't think that it's not. With social media, in a way, we've all got voices now, and I think we've also feel drowned out in many ways because we're competing with social media for the attention of others as well. So consider that. But speak truth, speak with love. Don't be quick to anger. And let's go out there and change the world. Please like, subscribe, follow, do comment, do all the things. It's very much appreciated. Anything you can do to draw attention to this podcast. We are growing together, folks, and I love it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Bye.